So wrong. That is such a phony number. You're talking about 60, 70, 80% in increases.
Obamacare premiums are surging, and Trump's attacks are forcing Clinton to walk a very fine line today. Breonna Keeler is out front.
There are just 14 days, 2 weeks from today.
Hillary Clinton eyeing the Sunshine State and its 29 electoral votes today.
So please join me. This is bigger than me. It's bigger than any of us. It's even bigger than Donald Trump, if you can believe it.
Expectations for Clinton are high. A new CNN ORC poll shows nearly 7 in 10 voters believe she will win the election. And her campaign is spending their last 2 weeks racing through battleground states, trying to convince voters not to become complacent.
I feel good, but boy, I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm going to work as hard as I can between now and the close of the election.
And former President Bill Clinton kicking off a bus tour in North Carolina as he defends Obamacare.
So Hillary says, fix the problem, don't repeal the solution. That's a terrible idea. More than 20 million people would lose their health insurance.
His plea coming as the government says premiums for those purchasing insurance on state exchanges will increase an average of 22% next year. Now, Clinton's comments earlier this month seem prophetic.
So you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people who are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world.
That statement put him in the doghouse with Democrats and put his wife on defense with Donald Trump.
So if he repeals it, our Medicare problem gets worse. What we need to do is go after the long-term health care drivers. We've got to get costs down, increase value, emphasize wellness. I have a plan for doing that.
A point Clinton echoed today in a radio interview.
The costs have gone up too much. So we're going to really tackle that. We're going to get co-pays and premiums and deductibles down. We're going to tackle prescription drug costs. And we can do that without ripping away the insurance that people now have.
Clinton is in the middle of a 2-day swing through Florida. Today, she had a big emphasis on Patrick Murphy, the Democrat who is challenging Republican incumbent Senator Marco Rubio. Polls show, Aaron, that she is up in Florida. And by the Clinton campaign math, if she beats Donald Trump there, she likely has shut him out of the entire election. That's part of the reason for the emphasis.
All right, Breonna, thank you. And my panel's back with me. I mean, Maggie, you hear Bill Clinton calling it the craziest thing in the world. Look, the stakes are high for Hillary Clinton on this. She doesn't want to be too close to Obamacare. And yet, she has embraced it, and she must embrace it if she's going to say she is the person to carry on the president's legacy.
Right, she has to embrace him, and so rejecting on any level his signature piece of legislation during his tenure as president is very difficult, and I think would have infuriated the White House at various points. I think that what you saw Bill Clinton say, weeks back was obviously a little bit of a out there statement that I suspect her campaign did not love. But that is basically where she has to sort of creep toward. And what you saw him say earlier about, you don't take away the whole thing, I think is where you're going to see this going, especially in the final days. Trump is overstating, as I understand it, the degree to which the premiums are going up, but they certainly are going up, and there is a sticker shock issue. But I don't know at this point, because of the noise from the WikiLeaks disclosures, because of the noise from Trump's own inability to stop talking about people who have accused him of sexual assault, although I think he was more disciplined about it today, but he has kept reviving it as an issue. I don't know that this is breaking through as much as it would otherwise, and it is definitely a legitimate voter issue.
And Keith, it is. Look, it's an issue that affects many more Americans than the 20 million Americans who got health care. It affects a lot of working Americans who've seen their premiums go up in order to subsidize this. And the problem for her is that she cannot distance herself from it. She cannot. To do so would be a lie. Here she is.
I am a staunch supporter of President Obama's principal accomplishment, namely the Affordable Care Act.
It is one of the great accomplishments, not only of this president, but of the Democratic Party going back to Harry Truman.
Before there was what's called Obamacare, there's what was called Hillary Care.
I mean, how can she play this, Keith? I mean, because premiums, as Maggie points out, it is mid-20s on average, but there are some states where they are more than doubling.
I think Maggie is right, though, about one important issue. And as a political point of view, this issue is dead. I mean, it's been litigated and relitigated. We've had 3 elections since the Affordable Care Act was passed. At this point, 2 weeks before the election, it will have virtually no impact on the outcome, because anybody who hates Obamacare was never going to vote for Hillary Clinton in the first place. The people who actually like Obamacare or want something more out of Obamacare will expect Hillary Clinton to fix it. And the issue with Obamacare, quite frankly, is that it gets attacked from both the left and the right. The people on the right think it's socialized medicine. The people on the left think it's not enough socialized medicine. So it's never going to appeal to everybody. And Hillary Clinton's got to come into office. She's got to offer a fix to make it better.
Dead campaign issue?
No, absolutely not. On the front page of the Harrisburg Patriot News the other day, where I live in the capital city, Pennsylvania, they made the point here that insurance rates were going to go up by 33%, and they went through it good. Now, this is a paper, mind you, that endorsed Hillary Clinton. Yep. And they went through this chapter and verse. I'll just give you one sample. A 21-year-old non-smoker who was paying $193 a month in 2016 is now going to pay $345. I mean, this, and then it gets worse, as you go up the scale. This is going to be a big issue in states like Pennsylvania, Florida.
Swing states, you think this
swing
will
states,
matter?
absolutely.
Well, the question is whether Trump can drive it and how late it is. And Trump has, if this had happened months ago, right, and had been a very surgical message tied, if not just solely on Obamacare, but to the economy in general and about a broader message of change, of course, then it might have had some resonance. I just don't know how much it's
so Mark, no, I was just saying, Mark, he tried. He talked about it last night. He talked about it today. And yet, this should be a layup issue for him, right? I mean, premiums are surging, and that's bad. I mean, nobody's happy about that, except for maybe some insurance companies. But he rails about it today. He's at his Doral Hotel in Miami, and he's talking about the issue. And then he seemed to be confused. He said his own employees are on Obamacare, which, of course, would be a violation of the law. Right. Let me just play for you what he said.
Mr. Trump, do you provide health insurance plans to all these employees?
Obamacare is a disaster. It's got to be repealed and replaced.
Do you provide health insurance to all these employees?
I do.
So none of them are on Obamacare?
No, some of them, but most of them no. Obamacare is just blowing up, and even the White House, our president, announced 25 or 26%. That number is so wrong. That is such a phony number. You're talking about 60, 70, 80% in increases.
So Mark, what this was going to say is the first thing he said is, and I can say all of my employees are having a tremendous problem with Obamacare. That's what he said. Right. And then the reporter asked him, so do you provide health insurance or not? And then he said, well, yes. So he says his employees are having a tough time with Obamacare. Then he comes out and says, well, actually, they're not on Obamacare. So confusing the message. Does that help him when he's trying to drive this home as a point to get undecided voters?
Well, the lack of understanding of the issue and the lack of understanding of what his own company is offering certainly doesn't help his message. In fact, just in the last half hour or so at the rally he is in Tallahassee, he said that several of his employees from Doral came up and said, can you please take me off Obamacare? To which then Trump said to the crowd, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Which is how he tries to excite the crowd in these types of situations. And then he goes on to say, oh, it's only a small group of people. Look, this is a very potent issue in any other election year right now. But as Maggie said, he has clouded it. He has created an incredible amount of white noise around himself. We only have to go back to this weekend in Gettysburg where he laid out his vision, like his closing arguments for how he would govern. And he preambled that by talking about the sexual harassment allegations that have been made against him. We are talking about a very short runway right now going into the election. And I don't think that this can be an issue in the campaign.
Where he promised to say that he would sue every one of his accusers after the election, which will not happen. All right, thanks to all of you. And next, Joe Biden talking about physically fighting Donald Trump. And you know what? It was wrong. But tonight, Trump is responding. And Trump, in a just-released interview, like you've never heard him before. Frankly, it's almost a little introspective.
I was a very rebellious kind of person. I don't like to talk about it, actually, but I was a very rebellious person.
Choose to go. To indulge your curiosity. Explore a new road to see where it takes you. Meet the leaders who change the game. No matter where you are, no matter what the currency, when you run the numbers, they may surprise you. But stay your course. You're on the path to success. CNN Money.
1 What's it like to make a living off lust? Are you willing to fight against the odds? Can cops still fight crime while under the lens? This is Life.
This is Life with Lisa Lang. New episodes, Sundays at 10 on CNN.